this is it. Oh, this was last year. So PGC was last year's client code with Kara. This year it's PGH, I want to say. So let me pull that one up. I don't want to show. Okay. So in the Kara billing process folder, we have this year and last year. So this coming year, 21-22, is where we'll find the estimate request. So they put it in a link because they can make updates to it. And so if you're starting a new one, I would just start with the link, and then you can use the same one over and over again. But if they make changes, this is where you'll find it.
So because we're making new estimates and everything, does that mean, like, because the campaigns and everything, are they going to create new campaigns in like Google and stuff too, or are we going to get to keep running on the existing campaigns?
It'll likely be a new campaign in Google Ads or whichever system you're in, AdWords. That's how it is, at least for YouTube. We get, because they're based off that long taxonomy that includes the ID.
So then for search, it takes sometimes like 3 or 4 weeks for that algorithm to learn things. So do you like not spend very much then, since it would lose all that data and reset and have to go through all the approvals again, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. For YouTube, it's a little like, it's not really learning on an algorithm. It's just kind of spending. So I'm not too sure. Maybe we can follow up or check with Molly, because she was here between last year's fiscal and the beginning, and see what she says. Because I'm not too sure. That's a good point. So search might be a little different, where they might just change the name in the system. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
But yes, so here is what we have to fill out for each campaign, each product. Most of these are drop downs, but you'll just find the product and product code in here. So if we're doing like Crest, Pro Health, or I guess that's probably not a good one for Crest paste, you probably do it for the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
You would just find it here and select that. Here you would drop in the authorization name. So I sent a while back the 21-22 campaigns and authorization, like that master list.
Mm-hmm.
It has all the authorization names in there already, and searches has a tab, or you can go into media tools. I don't know if you're accessing that today, but however you need to get the authorization name, it's either in media tools, Cheryl can share it, or it's in that 21-22 master list.
Gotcha.
So you would just copy paste that in there. And then the market type is always general market, unless I guess US has Hispanic sometimes, but I don't think for search we have that specific one. So you would always use general market. The buy type, pretty straightforward. There's one for search. And then this one is populated based on the parent code or product code that you selected. And then the fiscal year, there's only one that you can choose from, 21-22. And then the start and end date, I think for search, since it's always on, it's just going to be 7/1/21 through 6/30.
Gotcha.
So if you had exact dates and media tools, then you could put them in there.
Okay.
And that's it. So you don't have to fill out the demo or anything for this. That's just for a different type of buy. But yeah, so we would do this for each authorization you have. And then they'll give us an ID back. So once you have these completed, I was just gonna do mine all in the next week or so for each of my campaigns, and then send them in bulk since we have a little bit of time still to get them. But if you think, it's gonna take longer than, this week or next week, then I would start sending them as you have them finished. And I can send you, after this, I'll follow up. There's like 4 or 5 people from Kara Finance we send these to, and then they just respond back with the ID number.
Gotcha. So it's different than who we send to update the Prisma templates?
Yes. Okay. So it is a separate team. The Kara Finance Ops team is who we send it to. And then we can start our Prisma templates with Diego and their team.
Gotcha.
So the estimate, it's pretty easy, straightforward. I usually then just use this template and make all the changes and send them over and create a copy for each one. So yeah, that's the estimate request, and then Prisma templates. So yeah, once they give us back the estimate ID, folder, let me see. Alright. It doesn't look like there's a specific template for this year. They've just updated it. It's in the same folder that the estimate requests are in, and I would just download this one and you could use it for all of them this year, just in case from last year to this year they made any changes. But the first tab of it is going to be the campaign name generator to get that taxonomy correct, and that's where you need the estimate before you can start. So similar to here, you just, I have to open it in here, but the drop down, you just select the same brand name that you used in the estimate request. And then the code, market type's the same, the buy is the same, and this just gets you that campaign name with the taxonomy so this is the only free field, and you can use similar what you used last year if it's just search or SEM, but it should have, crest and all the brand information. So this is, gotcha. You can really put whatever you want here.
So for some of them, Power, they're talking about switching it possibly over to SA360. Would that change anything that's in here, or does it still just fall under? Is all that going to fall under the same?
So what is SA360? I'm not super familiar.
It's it's different than Google AdWords. It's another Google platform.
Then I think if it's falling under your budget, if your search budget, if it's not separated out, then it can fall under here.
Okay.
And if you need to differentiate it at all, in here, you could create a separate line item within your Prisma template. I don't know if, let me actually open this so that I can.
Because I think they're waiting. I think it's where Dumont is running some stuff right now for us, so that's what would be switching over.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure if you need a separate, I don't think you'd need a separate Prisma template or estimate or anything. I think it could definitely fall under this one.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if you'd want to differentiate it in the Prisma template, like with a separate line item.
Okay.
It just, I guess it depends. If it's just going to be like another line item in your Google campaign, then you're probably fine, unless there's like specific budget they want to put towards it and want to see it at this level. Like you're just pacing it yourself, I think it's fine to keep it all under Google.
Gotcha.
I don't even think, let's see, we just have google.com
Okay.
here anyway, so you could probably just keep it under this to make it easy.
Gotcha.
And yeah, simplify it. I don't think they need to see it at this level. And oh, where did you go? Prisma. Yeah, so here, once you fill out this portion of it, it'll populate up here the campaign name.
Okay.
And then in here is where you would put like your Google, or actually this would be your information since we're doing the HOK. So you just put your name and email so that they could reach out. I mean, they'll know who you are, but that's technically what that field's for. Yeah, just from the drop down, you basically select, and you can look at last year's template to make sure you're selecting the same things, but all the drop downs will basically populate the placement names for you, and just filling this out to what is the most accurate
Gotcha.
for your campaigns. And then you'll put the total cost in here. I don't think you have any ad serving for search, so
No.
you can ignore these fields, but if you did have ad serving, that's where you would kind of account for it.
Gotcha.
I think that's it. If I would leave this blank for now, until we decide if they create new accounts or campaigns. But this is where Kara would fill out if they created a new account.
If they create a new account, would they rebuild everything in there? Is that something we would have to rebuild everything?
I think, well, the way that it is for YouTube is that we rebuild it all because it's a new campaign. But let's find out first. I think search could be different because, yeah, to your point, it's like learning and optimizing off of, an ongoing strategy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really changing. So I think search could be different.
Okay.
That's really it. So once this is completed for Google and Bing, and actually, do you buy Bing as well, or is that more of like they manage it?
And we do it the same way we do with Google.
Okay, so you're like in the platform making those changes. Okay. If you could put your Bing or Google reps names in here too. I don't think it's necessary. Maybe just look at last year's to see if they did, but
Okay.
If someone else is like helping out with the campaign, you can always just put their information in this field.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's really it for search. It should be pretty easy, just a couple line items, and we'll want to create them for anything new that we have authorized, and then send them to Kara, like Diego and his team,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll get everything processed. I think the goal for them is to have Prisma, so the estimates and the Prisma templates to them by the end of May. So we have some time to get it all sent to them, but so that they can work through any kinks or problems in June before we launch in July.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's basically the gist of it. I think Laura will be doing, most of the social ones, but she could probably take you through if she needs any help with those. But I think just the search ones would be most helpful.
Okay.
And yeah, let me know if you have questions. It's not too bad, but when you're doing them all at once, it could be a little time consuming.
Yep, no problem.
Cool. All right. Well, you have a good rest of your day.
Yes, you too. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye, Jen.
Okay, bye.